Hey guys, I tried filming this video a few minutes ago, but there was just a lot of noise and stuff going on, so I'm trying to refilm it now. Basically, as you can see in the title of this video, this is a message to Bank of America. It's also, I guess you could say, a little PSA about Bank of America. Basically, to give you guys a good synopsis of what I've been dealing with, what my whole family has been dealing with for the last 3 weeks, month or so. Basically, my grandmother, I won't give you too much detail because I don't like airing my family's personal business and whatnot, but my grandmother is bedridden. She had a stroke several years ago, and, you know, she can't get out of bed. She asked us to take care of her financial things, and we all moved in together, I think, what was it, a year or two ago? I've lost count at this point. But anyway, we had been taking care of her funds and, you know, paying her bills and stuff like that. And we were in the process, all four of us, me, her, my mom, and my son, were all about to go and get a new house. And in order to make that payment, we had to make an online transfer. And we went to go ahead and do that. But that didn't go through so well. In the first place, when we got on the Bank of America website, something came up that said we could only do up to $25,000 in a day. The house that we were trying to get, it was a mobile home, and the full price of it was like $27,000 something. And so obviously we couldn't make the whole thing in a day. So we were going to do $10,000 on one day, and then $10,000 on the second day, and then we were going to do the following $7,000 something on the third day. The first $10,000 did not go through right away, and there was a freeze put on the account, which I expected. I totally expected that. I expected something to go through, you know, the fraud department or what have you, saying that, okay, there was suspicious activity or whatever, because my grandmother is not one to use, you know, online banking and things of that nature. So I expected that. That's what banks are supposed to do in order to protect their customers and all that kind of stuff. They're supposed to say, hey, we saw something suspicious, you know, was this you? That's normal. I expected that. But after talking to the fraud department and having him make a note on the account stating that there was going to be more transactions like that coming out, I didn't expect for it to get frozen 3 more times within 3 or 4 days. I did not expect all the BS that was about to take place. Long story short, the $10,000 went through eventually. We went to go put in the following transactions, and that did not work. The entire account wound up frozen. First it started we couldn't do any online transactions anymore. Then it was we just couldn't do any transactions at all. So I went into Bank of America an hour away. My real estate agent, our real estate agent, you know, she was being pressured by the sellers. They wanted their money, obviously. So she said, you know, if need be, I will drive you over there. Because it's an hour away and all this and that and the other. I will drive you over there so you can get this taken care of. So you can show them your power of attorney papers and all this, that, and the other. So I did. I went in there with a 16-page form of a power of attorney paper signed by a notary with a notary stamp on it. They would not accept it, because they had no signature card on file for my grandmother to compare her signature on the current form to her old one. In the first place, the signature on her current form looks like chicken scratch because she had a stroke on the left side of her body. She's left-handed. Her signature from 30 years ago would not have looked the same as her signature today. So my assumption would be, in the first place, I want to know where the hell that signature card went. I want to know how you have an account open for a person and you don't have a signature on file for them. How is that legal? How is it legal to keep open an account when you have no way of verifying the person's freaking identity? How does that work? I'd love to know this, you know. Bank of America, if any of your workers are watching, maybe the president of Bank of America, maybe one of you can write to me or put in the comments below how that works. Because I don't understand that. How does someone have a bank account with you for 30 years and they don't have a signature card on file? Okay, maybe it expires after a certain period of time. But I would think you would send out a letter letting the person know, hey, your signature card is going to expire in 60 days. Could you or a representative for you come in and make up a new one? Or here, we'll send you out the form for it and you can do it in your house and just mail it back to us. Or give the person a call, shoot them an email, something. so they don't have to go through this. So long story short, they turned me away. I sat in their office for an hour and a half. The woman who waited on me was nice enough. She tried 3 different things to try to get the power of attorney form to go through. She talked to the legal department and everything, spoke to her supervisor. Her supervisor never even bothered to come out and speak with me. Not a damn word from him. Or her, whatever it was. Never left their office, never said a word to me. Just kept sending their little gopher employee back and forth, telling me, sorry, we can't do anything. Hour and a half I waited there. My ride had to leave eventually because she had someone to go pick up and she could not stay there any longer. And I told her, go ahead, I'll find another way home. Out of state, an hour out of state from where I live, I wasn't guaranteed a ride home. I was relying in good faith that there would be something done about that today, that very day. This was like weeks ago, but that very day. And I was counting on that money to get me home. I'm lucky my mother was able and had enough gas left in the tank to come and get me. Otherwise, I would have been stranded out of state until who knows when. And so, yeah, hour and a half in there to tell me, I'm sorry, we can't verify this. You're going to have to get an attorney to look this over and all this, that, and the other. How are we supposed to get an attorney when you have all of my grandmother's freaking money? Where do you think that money's going to come from? Out her ass? Where do you think that money's going to come from? On top of that, now the sale for the house is just up in the air. Like I said, the first $10,000 went through fine. So there's $10,000 of non-refundable money that belonged to my grandmother on this house that we're not assured we're going to get. We're going to attempt to finance it, but we don't know how long that's going to take, and we don't know how much longer the sellers are willing to hold on, because they've been waiting patiently for over a month now. On top of that, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of this video, I work part-time. I'm looking for a full-time job as it is. Between my money and my grandmother's money, we were living comfortably. Both of us, working on the bills, obviously, she paid more of it because she has a higher income than I do right now. She has her Social Security and her pension. And so she paid about 3/4 of the bills. I paid probably 1/4 or less and helped with food. Now my little 500 and something a month has to pay for rent, bills, food, gas, diapers, everything. And that doesn't even say anything for the thousands of dollars that it takes to get my grandmother to and from her doctor's appointments and things like that. Like I said, she's bedridden, but she's not the kind of bedridden that, you can just kind of help the person up and get them into a wheelchair. She has to have a Hoyer lift pick her up. Or she has to have someone, usually because the Hoyer lift is too painful for her, we have to call paramedics in to pick her up on a sheet and lay her on a gurney and wheel her out the door to go to her doctor's appointments. That right there is $700 just to get her across town in an ambulance. Not counting her medicine, the doctor's appointment itself, supplies for, adult diapers and things like that. Where's that all going to come from? Her money is on freeze right now. Where's that all going to come from? I'm talking to you, Bank of America. Where do you expect my grandmother's money to come from? How is she supposed to live? Our electric got shut off on Friday. I didn't know where the hell the money was going to come from. I thank God my fiance was able to help me out this time. That was a blessing. That was a huge blessing. Honey, if you're watching this, thank you. But it shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have had to ask anyone for help with that. Because we have that income. No one should be able to hold that income. No one. Not in a case like this. They eventually, Bank of America said, well, I'm sorry, ma'am, speaking to my grandmother, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you're just going to have to come into the facility. We explained to them that she's bedridden. They don't care. They don't care. I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to come in anyway. Well, you know what? As soon as my grandmother gets all of her we've already talked to Social Security, she and I together, and we're taking care of that to get that direct deposit put somewhere else. And once she gets her pension switched over as well, and she's got that income coming in again, oh yeah, she's going to go in person. She's already established that. She wants to go in on that gurney so they can see what they've caused. They can see an old woman who should not have to deal with this, who has dealt with more than her share of hardships in her life, having to come in on a gurney. And you know what? If at all possible, there will be radio stations. God willing, there'll be a television station coming in there, hearing about this. All of the customers can see a woman with 4 paramedics along the sides of her being wheeled in on a gurney and talking to these people. And they can all see what kind of a bank this is. They can all see what this bank does to their people in the name of security, in the name of safety. Meanwhile, we've had to apply for food stamps now. A working woman and a woman who worked her entire life to get the money she has now should not have to be on food stamps. That should not have to happen. It really shouldn't. I hate living off the government. I hate it. I've been on food stamps before. I've been in a hard place before where I had to eat peanut butter and jelly and ramen noodles day in and day out. I've survived on less money than this, but my son shouldn't have to go through it. My grandmother shouldn't have to go through it. I don't mind having to scrape and scrounge for whatever I have, to eat, or whatever I have to put in the bills. I don't mind doing that. It's not fun, but I can do that. I hate to see my family have to do it. They shouldn't have to. This is my grandmother's money, and y'all, Bank of America, are a bunch of assholes for trying to make a bedridden woman come into your office to appease you. Y'all should be sending someone out here to get a signature card for her, to put on file, so you can verify it. And you know what? On top of that, we asked them to do that. Their words were, "Oh no, we don't do that." You don't do that. You don't do that. Really, you don't do that. Well, Wells Fargo does it. We went in there to go set her up a new bank account, and they were willing to come out to the house and have her sign something. How come Wells Fargo can do it, but you can't? Guess who my grandmother's going with instead of you? And as soon as this whole mess gets straightened out, whether it's from her going in there or from hiring a lawyer, as soon as her funds are freed up, whatever it is, as soon as those funds are freed up, whatever means necessary, she's closing out that account. You know what? You lost a customer, and now you're probably losing a whole hell of a lot more customers thanks to this video, because of your insensitivity. And you know what? None of you care. None of you care. None of the people that I've spoken to, that my grandmother has spoken to, that my mother has spoken to, none of you care about this situation. I'm sorry, but this is just procedure, and this is all we can do, and you're just going to have to come in. Well, you know what? You wouldn't be saying that if it was your family. You wouldn't be saying that if it was you on your birthday with no electricity, having to run around asking people like a freaking beggar on the street, can you help me out with my electric? Someone who works shouldn't have to ask that. Someone who's worked their entire life in order to get the income that they have should not have to ask that. It's not fair and it's not right. But you know what? None of y'all care because it's not your family. It's not your grandmother whose funds are being held. It's not your son who you have to worry about where his food's going to come from. It's not your belly that's growling at night. It's not anything that has to do with you, so you don't care. We got the message. And you know what? Now there's going to be hell to pay through the legal system, television stations, YouTube, whatever we can possibly do. Whatever we can possibly do in order to show people what kind of a bank you are will be done. So thanks, Bank of America. Thanks for showing the entire world what kind of a bank you are. And you know what? You can thank yourselves for all of this wonderful publicity you're about to get. See you guys later.